Start.
So, students, now we are in the other part of the fluid mechanics laboratory where we have housed one other basic experiment on fluid mechanics, and that is the free and forced vortex flow. We are having some cylinder wherein we can have the water filled, and then the cylinder can be rotated. When it is rotated, we call it as the forced movement of the fluid mass, that is the water mass, and that will give us some vortex type of the flow. And the analysis and say the study of the vortex flow we can have from that one. We can have say the free vortex flow also. That type of the experiments based on the different types of the flow. We would try to understand what are the differences between the free vortex flow and the forced vortex flow through this particular experimental setup. So we will take it up in the weeks to come in our fluid mechanics laboratory. The next experimental setup is the determination of the frictional losses in pipes and fittings. We are having different kinds of the losses when the flow passes through the pipes. It may be the friction, the loss due to friction, or it may be the loss due to some local arrangements like say the cork, or say the band, or say the valve, and like this. So these are the different devices wherein we can have some amount of the energy loss taking place when the flow passes through the pipes. And these losses are very much necessary. If we are designing some water supply system in environmental engineering or so, the water is to be supplied from say the source, say the overhead tank or say the well to the different parts of a town or a city. So how much is the total loss occurring in the pipe system, and based on that the height of the elevated tank we need to design. So what should be the height of the elevated tank? It depends on the total amount of the head loss that is occurring in the entire pipe system, or the capacity of the pump. If we are directly pumping the water from the well and supplying into the pipeline without any elevated tank, what should be the capacity of the pump? And that should also depend on the amount of the losses. So this is also very important experiment on the flow through the pipes, and that we have to discuss initially in the theory part, what is the theory behind that one, and then after we will take up the experiment on that one. So this part is there, and in the weeks to come we will take up this experiment for our. Then we have one simple experimental setup. Last week we talked something regarding the viscosity, that how do we determine the viscosity of the fluids, particularly liquids. So we are having the one which we discussed in the videos last week, that was based on the Stokes law. So based on using the Stokes law, how can we determine the viscosity of the liquid? That is the falling cylinder method. Now the other method to determine the viscosity is the capillary tube method. This is the tank, something a supply tank, wherein we'll fill up some viscous fluid like oil or so, and this connected horizontal pipe will carry the flow of oil. Initially the liquid level will be somewhere over here or somewhere over here, and as it passes we'll have some loss. The other capillary tube at some known distance from the tank we are having. So depending upon the energy of the flow, the liquid or say the oil level will reach into this piezometer type of the tank, and based on that we will be determining again basic theories of the laminar flow will be applied, and the water, how much is the viscosity of the fluid, that we will determine. We are having at the end of this setup, exit end of the pipe, wherein we collect the oil, how much is the rate of flow. Again discharge, we just discussed about that. So the discharge will collect from this one and measure what will be the velocity of the oil through this pipe. So that part we have to take. So this is one other experimental setup to determine the viscosity of the liquids. So that part we have to understand. Then we come to some little higher level course, I mean the higher level experimental setup on the behavior of the laminar flow. This is also the experimental setup to study the behavior of the laminar flow. We will be having, say, this chamber. This is one reservoir. If you just look at it, appears as if it is the section of an earthen dam. A dam section you might have seen. So this is one particular earthen dam section that's made of the glass tubes. We are having two glass plates cut into the shape of a trapezoid and put very close to each other. So it will allow the very small gap is left in between these plates, and that will allow the movement of the oil through this one. And based on that one, we'll try to understand how does the viscous fluids behave when they move through the earthen sections. It may be the earthen dam, it may be the groundwater movement of the water and like that. So that part we are studying. So again, the higher level theories of the laminar flow analysis in terms of some known equations, what we call it as Navier-Stokes equations of motion, we are applying to understand the behavior of the laminar flows. So this is one experimental setup for that one. That also we take here. See, what we are talking, just I am having this, see, we talked about, say, we saw the videos to determine the viscosity of the oil or some other liquid in a falling cylinder method. So just Stokes law is applied. We are having some cylinder of a height of some 50 centimeter or so. Liquid will be filled into this one, and we'll measure what is the time taken by these different spheres of different weights to take a distance from this one to this one, and making use of the simple equation given by Stokes law will determine what is the viscosity of the oil. We are having, say, these are the different spheres. It is just like this is nothing but the marbles. We are having, say, the marbles. We are using the marbles of different diameters, and we may have it even some other materials also used. We may have some spheres used in the bearings. You might have seen the bearings used in different machines, say in our vehicles or so. So those balls of the bearings used can also be used to just find out the distance traveled in a certain time to help us determining the viscosity of the liquid. So this is the experimental setup for the Stokes law, or using the finding out the viscosity of the liquid. Then we come to one very important and very basic experimental setup. You can just have a look at that. It is the Bernoulli's theorem. Bernoulli's theorem called as, you can have, say, see the photograph of Daniel Bernoulli, who is the just pioneer to give us this Bernoulli's theorem. Bernoulli's theorem is based on the principle of conservation of energy. Shakti Sanrakshana Niyam, you might have arrived at in our basic sciences. So energy can neither be created nor be destroyed. The total energy in the universe remains constant. That is what we know. Based on this simple energy conservation principle, Bernoulli have given us a theorem for flow through pipes. The pipe, we are having, say, the fluid flow. So what he says, the total energy of the flow remains same at different locations. As the flow takes place, we will be having, say, the supply pipe. The supply pipe will take the water into this supply tank, and from the supply tank we are having this conduit. This is the conduit which allow the water to flow through this one, and at every 4 centimeter distance or so we are having these glass tubes, these vertical glass tubes attached to that pipe or conduit. So depending upon the pressure, the water will rise into these tubes, These glass tubes, we call them as the piezometers. So the piezometers are made use to measure the pressures. So what Bernoulli told that some of the pressure energy, kinetic energy and potential energy remain same at different locations. The conversion of one energy into the other energy can take place. Pressure energy can convert into the kinetic energy, and kinetic energy may get converted into the potential energy. But the summation of these three energies remain constant as it moves along the flow. That is what we have to verify. So we are having this simple experimental setup. Probably in the next week we'll try to show you how does this experiment work and how does the variation of the pressure take place while the flow passes through this conduit, and at the end we are having, say, the control valve to control the flow, that is the discharge. Depending upon the amount of the flow, we can operate this cock so that the discharge can be increased or decreased, and then that water will come out over here. So how much is the rate of flow, discharge, that we can measure using this fixed volume measuring tank. The dimensions of this tank is fixed. So how much is the volume? We know. So what time it takes to completely fill this tank, that we can measure using the stopwatch. We can make use of our mobile or our stopwatch we are having in our laboratory and find out how much time it takes to fill this volume, and then volume divided by time will give us the discharge. So at different locations, what are the velocities of the flow we can work out. So this is one basic experiment on the fluid flows. We have to verify it whether Bernoulli's theorem is valid for our particular setup or not, and if it is not, what are the reasons? What are the reasons for not having total energy remaining same at different locations? That we have to conclude. So we will conclude that one. Last week when we met first time for the laboratory class, we talked that we have to apply our mind and understand what is happening. If I do not find the summation of the three components of the energy remaining constant, I cannot dare to say that Bernoulli has given incorrect statement or he has given incorrect theorem. It is not the case. I have to analyze under what conditions this law is applicable. I have to understand. And if I have violated those assumptions, I can say it is because I have used the real fluid. Bernoulli has said this law is applicable for ideal fluid, but I could not find any ideal fluid, so I made use of water. And as it was applied for the water, naturally it is not going to satisfy the 100% Bernoulli statement. So that can be my conclusion, and so that I have to apply, and I shall write my conclusions according to the observations and the calculations which I perform at the end of the experiment. So next week definitely we'll try to put our hands, we'll make the flow to pass through, take the observations and show you that how does this Bernoulli setup work, and where we have to take the observations, which different observations we have to take, and then we'll try to work out the calculations, find out the total energies at different locations, total energy at different locations, and we'll try to plot the graph also. So this is how this experimental setup works that we have to perform in the next. So that is why I tried to explain it at depth to this one. Then we are having some other higher level experiments. Madam will show you that we are having, say, the centrifugal pump supplying the water to again one open channel, very large 10-meter length open channel we are having, where we are performing some higher level experiments, and that also you will be having the advantage of making use of this very large channel. It is a 10-meter long channel we are having, so you can just understand. In nowadays you find very small handy models which doesn't appeal much to this one. Actually, when we are making, if I claim this channel to represent a canal of 400 kilometer long, Narmada main canal, the canal that takes off from the Sardar Sarovar Dam and supplies water to the Rajasthan border, or say the end of the Gujarat state boundary in the Kutch region. How can a 1 meter long channel represent 400 kilometer long canal? So reasonably, this is also very small. If you go to some IITs also, we will find 30 meter, 40 meter long channels of this kind. Being our state level colleges, first of Gujarat state, as you know, BVM is the first engineering college of our state. So we are having that distinction of making use of this type of the channel for years together. And naturally, all the students of BVM should take proud of that one. So that is how you will also make use of this channel to perform some experiments. Okay. So now we shall just show you some glimpse of the other machines. Some of the machines which you are not going to use this week, this particular semester, but you should be exposed to those machines also. So we will just have a look at different experimental setups where we are having, say, this is the setup for the Kaplan turbine. This is the setup for the Kaplan turbine. Yes. See. This is a reaction turbine named as Kaplan turbine. Turbines are used to make use of the hydraulic energy, and that hydraulic energy is converted into the mechanical or electrical power. So at the end of the flow, we find some electrical power produced by making use of the fluid. So this is what is one. Then we are having some other setups also. This is the other reaction turbine. We call it as Francis turbine. This is the experimental setup for the Francis turbine. This Francis turbine. And that experimental setup we are using. All these are the working setups. It is not just simply to show you. We can take the observations on each of the setup. And this is one other setup, what we call it as the Pelton turbine. This is the Pelton turbine. Yes. So we have the Pelton turbine, that is the impulse type of the turbine. We are having it called as. So it is a Pelton turbine, experimental setup for that, where we can again make use of this experimental setup to understand the working of the setup and find out the efficiency of the turbine. So this is how the whole of the laboratory we are using, and in the next 2 semesters, this semester in course of fluid mechanics and in the next semester in course of the hydraulic engineering, we would be making use of this laboratory to take the practical application of the theory knowledge that we will be discussing in the theory class during these 2 courses. So this is how we would be going. So we thought you are away from the BVM campus, you have not seen these laboratories at all, and when you are looking and you are studying some theories related to that, we thought we should just have a look at our fluid mechanics laboratory. So we hope we come back physically, all 120, 130, 40 students shall come back over here, put their hands on to each of the experimental setup and take the observations. But by that time, till we are allowed by Corona and our government to come back to our institutes and physically handle these experiments by yourself, we'll try to show you the working of each of the experimental setup in the coming weeks. So that is how we would be operating. So this is what I have to tell in this particular course. Now we'll try to discuss some other practical aspects of this one live, not through the video. Okay, thank you.